Welcome this morning, everybody, to our Wednesday, April 8, 2020 City Council meeting. Mr. Noblet, before I call us to order, give us the reason why we're meeting at this very interesting time.
Yes, sir. The City Council actually last evening recessed their meeting from yesterday in accordance with the City Charter under Section 8.8 to have a second reading on an ordinance this week. This one ordinance is on your agenda for consideration this morning, and this meeting was occurring today so that there could be a second reading on this ordinance in this week. Section 11.2 of your charter requires two separate readings anytime you have an ordinance that involves an ordinance of the city, and no ordinance can be valid if it's passed on the first and final reading on the second day. So at my request, we had an adjourned or recessed meeting yesterday afternoon. That meeting then is coming back this morning based upon the notice that was provided yesterday in the council meeting, and this notice has been available for the public to appear this morning as another public meeting in the same week.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noblet. With that being said, I now call us to order. At this time, we will have a pledge of allegiance and an invocation, should he so pleases, by Councilman Gilbert.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilman Gilbert. I now call to order our business for this city council. Madam Clerk, we have ordinance on final reading. Please read 3A.
An ordinance to amend ordinance number 13214, known as the fiscal year 2017-2018 capital improvement budget ordinance, so as to appropriate $500,000 from the Department of Economic and Community Development Capital Fund to the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce for processing small business COVID-19 coronavirus bridge grants.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilwoman Burrs, followed by Councilman Gilbert.
Move approval, sir.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded by Councilman Gilbert. Any further discussion on this matter? Madam Clerk, please proceed with your roll call.
Councilwoman Burrs?
Yes.
Councilman Byrd?
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod?
Yes.
Councilman Gilbert?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Henderson?
Yes.
Councilman Ledford?
Yes.
Councilman Mitchell?
Yes.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Oglesby?
Yes.
That's 9 yeses.
Motion passed with 9 votes. Thank you all very much for passing such an important piece of legislation that's going to, from what I understand, going to get into the hands of those citizens who really need it during this very challenging time. And I want to thank the administration, particularly the ECD department, for putting this all together. So great job, y'all.
Mr. Chair, do you mind if we have Jermaine or Carrie jump in here real quick and tell us when these funds will be available, when the application process will be available, and where, and how do people get to it?
Councilman Smith, that is a great idea. So if either Mr. Freeman or there's Mr. Freeman.
I've added Jermaine. If you're available, Jermaine, I see you take yourself off mute. Can you give us a rundown on when these funds will be available, sir?
Yes, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Very well.
All right, thank you all for having me this morning. So the funds are going to be available very quickly now that you all have taken the vote. We are working with IT to get the link up within the next couple of days. So the application could potentially be available, really pretty soon. And then once we start taking applications, our committee of staff will start to review them, and we should be able to make the first award recommendations by next week. So we could actually have small businesses that are actually being awarded by next week. And so this is going to move very, very fast. And we really appreciate all you all's support in helping us to make this happen.
All right. Thank you, sir. So the link people should be looking for in the next couple of days, just on the city website. Is it under ECD department? Do they need to go anywhere in particular, Jermaine?
Yeah, so it's likely going to be on our special COVID-19 page, since that's sort of where people have been going to right now. And again, once we have that final link from IT, I'll be able to send that to all of you all so that you can share that with the small business folks in your communities.
Great. And is that a first come, first served basis?
It is first come, first served. It's also discretionary. So I'm sure that, like with any grant program, we're going to have small businesses that are going to apply that aren't going to qualify, and for whatever reason. And so, we'll have to review those and notify, businesses that may not qualify. So it's sort of the first come, first serve of the small businesses that actually qualify.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Great question. And once again, thank you, Jermaine. We're looking forward to this program being a great asset to our small businesses and to keep our economy in somewhat of stabilization until this thing is over and we can get back to business as usual, which I'm afraid may never be, but we can do our part to make it happen. Councilman Byrd, I see your hand.
Yes, I think Councilman Chip was before me, sir.
I lowered my hand. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Jermaine, would there be correspondence with people also to let them know that they didn't qualify, and to maybe, in letting them know that they didn't qualify, direct them to some help that they may be able to get?
Yes, absolutely. So they may not qualify for the initial grants because the initial grants are really for our smallest businesses, but they may qualify for the bridge loans or for the HUD loans. And so we want to make sure that they are aware of those programs as well.
Thank you.
Especially since we're potentially going to be able to offer the bridge loans at 0% interest. So it makes it a very attractive option for a small business that really needs help to be able to borrow money without having to worry about the cost of borrowing money.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Jermaine.
Great question, Councilman. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we get a progress report on this either through this council meetings or by email every, I don't know, somebody suggest a time every, once a month, once a whatever, as far as just so we can keep up with the progress and see who's getting the benefit of this program, et cetera?
I would like to see it once a month, since once they said it's going to go up online for the application, they're going to be awarding very recently. So I would think at the very least a monthly report on where they are with this program would be great.
Yes, we can absolutely do that, Chairman Oglesby and Councilman Mitchell. That will not be a problem at all.
Thank
you.
Man, you've done a great job. And before we move on, I just want to say before we end, I know there's a couple more hands up. Thank all 9 council people. Thank Nicole. Thank Phil. You've once again made me proud of being part of this body and part of governing Chattanooga. Thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. It's a pleasure to serve with you. Let me see, Councilwoman Coonrod. I see you, and then Councilman Ledford, you will follow Councilwoman Coonrod.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mitchell. It's been a pleasure to serve with each and every one of you, but I gotta disagree. I'm not looking forward to us going back to normal as far as how we help people, because since the COVID-19, we've stretched our arms above and beyond, and we're able to help people in ways that I never would have imagined that we will be able to. And since I've been on council and I've heard we can't do this or we can't do that, but I'm seeing that we are doing it. We're able to do it. People are able to catch the bus for free. Now we're going outside of the norm of our policies and making sure, like we just passed for the business fund for people to get help with their businesses. We've seen services restored from people, disconnections from light bills, water bills, sewer bills, all kind of stuff. So it's really showing us that we are able to do some things and go outside of the traditional norm. So that I would love to see remain the same. But Jermaine, my question, how will this affect or will businesses that operate inside of their home? I know yesterday you said that they do not qualify, but people that run a child care center or senior homes, will they be able to apply for the funding?
Yes, so we did carve out an exception for childcare centers that are licensed, that are home-based, because we do realize that there are some senior care facilities and some childcare facilities that do run out of people's homes. And they are licensed by the state, and they have business licenses from the city and county. And so we did carve out the one exception for them. However, there is no other exception for home-based businesses aside from childcare centers and senior care centers. And so for people who have home-based businesses, we will still refer them to some of the other programs that are available, like the Kiva loan program that the city initially provided seed funding for, that CoLab administers. And so we'll potentially push them towards programs like that, because the Kiva loan is also a 0% interest loan as well. And so there are other funding opportunities that are attractive to small business owners in this environment that don't have a high cost of borrowing, and so they still have those options.
Okay, and then my second question is, when you are asking for a written statement with the description of how the business was adversely impacted, or a written description of how the funds will be used, are you asking for just a simple statement, or how many pages are you asking that the business owner provide you for as far as their statement?
Well, there's not a set there's not a sort of a set criteria for how long it has to be, but it needs to be in detail enough to give us a vivid description of how your business was impacted relative to how your business would operate during normal times. And so that is really sort of up to the business owner in terms of how long they need, how much of a narrative they need to write in order to help our ECD staff fully understand the impact on their business.
Okay, and so who will be the committee to approve the grant or the loans? Will it just solely be ECD? Is it ECD and someone from the chamber? Is it someone from the council? Can council appoint somebody to oversee? Because what I'm concerned about is that years ago when the Wilcox Tunnel closed down, and a lot of those businesses that were affected by that and applied, they did not either qualify for it or they weren't able to get the funding. And my concern is for those people, the low-hanging fruit businesses, such as the lady that sell egg rolls, or those individuals that are not going to receive the funds. I want to make sure that they're getting the help too, and the salon owners and barbershops, those individuals. Like, it's great for the Chattanooga Cigar Bar to apply. It's great for Heavenly Wings and all of those entities, but I'm more concerned of the other people who not going to be reached for this opportunity. How are we making sure that they are receiving the information to apply and receiving assistance and helping them apply for it, for this opportunity?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think what we're going to have to do is work with some of our staff members and some of our community partners to sort of help get the word out and to sort of help promote that. And we're actively trying to discuss ways of doing that to make sure that some of the businesses that you mentioned who may not have taken advantage of mitigation programs in the past, to make sure that they have a chance to tap into these funds, keeping in mind that these funds are going to be available to the businesses that were impacted by the executive orders. And so even if it's a small business that may be hurting, and I understand that there are a lot of small businesses that are hurting, if they weren't explicitly impacted by the executive orders, they still won't qualify for these funds. And so it's just important to draw that distinction. But we do have staff that are going to be working on helping us with some outreach efforts as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jermaine,
Yes,
my question is, in following this trend nationally, I'm certain that our supply is going to definitely run out. The demand will still be there. Do we have a backup plan or a plan B going forward when this particular source of funding is exhausted?
Yeah, that is also a great question, Councilman Ledford. And so I think, I think the bridge loans and the HUD loans are sort of our second phase and our third phase of this. And so we're going to be a little bit more flexible with the loans than we will be with the grants, keeping in mind because the grants, again, are for really the smallest businesses. But, it all depends on how long this crisis continues to last. The longer it takes for us to flatten the curve, and the longer we sort of have to stay in a contracted economic environment, the more desperate our small business community is going to become, and the more we're going to have to look at, potentially other sources or other methods to try to provide assistance to them. I don't want to sort of overcommit anything or anything like that, but I think that underscores the importance of why it's so important for us to do everything that we can to flatten the curve as quickly as possible. Because if this drags on into the summer, it's really going to be devastating to our small business community, and it's going to be devastating, to the city's finances in terms of being able to continue to provide resources and stimulus for our small businesses.
Yeah, well, we all share that sentiment and agree with you 100% that this can't go on for too long. Yeah, that's for sure. Jermaine, good work. Thank you, council. Great job. I'm very excited to see us work together on this, as we always do when it comes to the work that we need to be doing. And I want to echo what I heard Councilman Mitchell say and others. This is a true honor to work with us, get through this. I know Ken gets a lot of kudos for organizing it, but Ken, great job. I'm glad your skills are put to good use. Being that audio visual guy in high school has really paid off, brother.
Yeah.
I had audio visual in high school and I didn't get none of that. So that is
no comment.
You gotta get some brushing up, Erskine.
Big time. Okay, now we have Councilman Byrd.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Jermaine, I just want to thank you again for the work that you guys have done. One thing we do have to do is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And I know that this may end in a month with God's grace, or it can go on for several months. And as Councilman Darren Left was saying, these funds start to run out. Do we have anything in place? Because I remember you were saying, like, if you didn't have a business license, and sometimes the narrative gets put out there that the council can do jobs or do tasks that are not in our power. And once that narrative is put out there, people kind of get confused on what this body could actually do and actually deliver. I do know that everyone on this council is championing to make Chattanooga one of the greatest places in the world again and keep us thriving. What do we have in place right now to that people can go to understand? I talked to Donna. We was talking of 211 and 311, and actually the website. Is there any other links or things so that people can see what we do, what we can do, and what we're able to do, and just the services that are out there at this point?
Yeah, so if people go to chattanooga.gov and they click on economic development, it will take them to our website, and there are a host of resources that we have. The website is really designed for small business owners, and so there are a number of resources that we provide on the website for economic development. And because like I said earlier, there are a lot of programs that are out there. So even if you are a barber working in someone else's shop and you don't have your own business license and you're sort of an independent contractor, there are still resources out there. And it's okay for you to call us and to ask us questions. Obviously, our call volume is pretty high these days, but we will get back to you as soon as we can and try to help you get educated about some of the other things that are offered out in the community, like the Kiva loans, like the ID Elite program, like some of the other resources that are available to small business owners. As I said before, with this program, I can only help small businesses that are licensed to do business in the city of Chattanooga. So I can only help small businesses that have business licenses from our city and from our county. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other resources for the independent contractor, barber, or stylist who's working in someone else's shop and never got their own business license, because there are resources out there. It's just not this program.
It's just not this one. Thank you so much, Jermaine.
Thank you, Councilman Byrd. Councilman Gilbert.
Yes, Jermaine, I know that the funds you were speaking of is just for small businesses, but do we have anything in place for if the hospitals overflow, which I hope they don't, but if they do, and we have to go to other facilities, do we as a city have anything planned for that, or are we just depending on federal?
Right now, you know, our federal government is working closely with our task force and with our hospitals to make plans for overflow in the event that happens. And so we are carefully planning and looking at some of those numbers and sort of looking at, you know, when peak surge may start to happen, and planning for the worst and hoping for the best. But we are actively making those plans right now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Gilbert.
And Mr. Chair, sorry to butt in like that, but unfortunately as host, I'm not allowed to raise my hand. So I'm just trying to wait for everybody else to be done. So may I ask Jermaine a question, please?
Yeah, please do, Councilman Smith.
Hey, Jermaine, this came up at the very beginning of this conversation, and I think just for point of clarity for everybody, what we're talking about with these loans are businesses that are for-profit businesses and not nonprofits. And there's a lot of nonprofits that have endowments. We understand that. And there's a lot that don't. So this, just again, can you reiterate the difference between small businesses or the for-profits this is for, and then nonprofits? And is there anything under consideration for nonprofits, or are we really only focused on our for-profits at this moment?
So right now we are this program, Councilman Smith, is only for for-profit organizations. It's only for for-profit businesses, and so our feeling and our focus in economic development has always been the for-profit small business community. Having said that, I think that it's worth us having a conversation to figure out if there are other partners that we could pull in to maybe have some conversations about whether or not there are resources that are available to nonprofits. But, excuse me, this program is specifically for for-profit businesses. But I share, you know, your concern for the nonprofit community. I realize that there are a number of nonprofits that are hurting, and I wish that, you know, through the programs that we have available that we could help everyone, but we don't have the ability to do that with this program here. And so this is for profits only. But I do think that we could have a conversation about, you know, maybe pulling together some community partners to figure out what some solutions are for the nonprofit sector, because we do have a large nonprofit sector here in our city.
Sure, and I'm thinking also, we've got some organizations, when you hear nonprofit, typically that, you know, we're thinking about organizations that are constantly doing community service. But we also have a lot of nonprofits that generate a significant amount of revenue for the city by bringing people in, you know, those that are more in the tourism and everything else. So I was just curious if that conversation had come up yet, but totally understand where this program is focused and completely agree with that. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Smith. Great question. I see no other hands.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilman Mitchell.
I can't, and this is not on this subject, but may I just please ask Nicole, did she get enough electronic signatures last night?
Yes, I received those signatures.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good. Thank you, Councilman Mitchell. Okay, seeing no other hands. Great questions. Look like we're moving forward with this program, and looking forward to how we can expand it even further. So I really appreciate my colleagues for supporting this. And once again, you know, ECD and all those partners that's going to be a part of making this thing happen for citizens in our city. With that being said, now we will move on to other business. Is there any other business this council would like to share this morning? Seeing none, I'd like to recognize any persons wishing to address the council at this time.
I see no hands, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilman Smith. Seeing that there is no other business before us, I want to say God bless you all as we weather this storm. As I've said and many people have said, this too shall pass with patience, prayer, and perseverance. So let's keep our heads up. Let's keep doing those things that's going to flatten this curve quickly. And with that being said, we are adjourned.
Thanks, sir.
Thank y'all.